I talk about creating boundaries with my friends. I had to create boundaries with my parents as well. So when we fast forward and I have kids, the joy of it is something that words can't really explain, like, to be honest with you. But no one talks about the insecurities, as you said, some of the trigger moments, because you have a child that looks similar to you or just like you, and you think about some of the pain that you went through, right? As a kid, as a young adult, or whatever. And for me, it was very challenging. I don't like to use the term difficult because it's not difficult. It was just challenging in the sense of, okay, we overcame this hurdle of life. Now we have to overcome another hurdle of life, of being okay with your inner child, right? And understanding that now you have a child physically here that looks up to you. So whatever insecurities that you have to face them now. And for me, I had to face them right away, right? Earlier, I talked about like tutoring and having assistance. I had to communicate with my wife, right? I had a situation when I was a kid. I was reading to my kid sister, and I stumbled upon the word like hippopotamus or something like that. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what I said, but some of my friends was making fun of me, right? Friends and family was making fun of me on me, like stumbling upon hippopotamus. Like, oh, you can't read. So after that, I was just like, I'm just never going to read out loud, right? Just never going to read out loud, because it was just one of those, like, kids have no chill.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? They have no chill. So, so for me, it was just like, let me communicate with my wife and tell her this is why I don't like to read out loud, because of that, right? She was like, she kind of got it. And then she looked at me like, well, you're going to read to these kids because I ain't doing it every night. That type of look, like, you're going to do this. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Just understand that it's going to take time, right? Because I have to block out the experience that I had. And for me, starting to read out loud to my kids, then realizing like now my daughter, she loves when I read to her, right? Because I get animated and all this stuff. And now she's reading herself. She's 4 and she's learning, like, she can pretty much read at least 4 books by herself, right? And it's because I've been diligent in reading out loud with her. And she comes, grab the book. All right, daddy, I know you're watching basketball, but you're going to get into this book. You know what I mean? We're going to get into this book. Okay, we're going to talk about the moon and all the stars and stuff. So to see that is just like, okay, I am helping that inner child. You know, I know we didn't talk about it this far as the episode, but it helped me as not only as a person, but as a father as well.
That's incredible. I love that. I would definitely love to like expand on that. This idea of the inner child and the fact that you see that reflected in your children as they will change and grow, and trying to address things with your parents that will relate to yourself at different ages and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what?
It's
Let's get into it. Let's
oh,
get
I
into
don't
it.
know.
Okay.
We got time.
Uh, yeah. I got
I
you.
swear.
I'm gonna give you like another like 10 minutes. I'm gonna
I,
get
I,
into it. So, from my experience, right?
yeah.
My inner child had a lot of insecurities,
Mm-hmm.
right? No one never told me. They never really expressed that they loved me, right? Like they obviously they provide clothes and fed me, but the words never really came out. And when
Yeah.
every time it did, it was always at someone's funeral. Unfortunately, I had a lot of deaths in my family. So for me, it was always a question of like, do they love me? Can I achieve anything? I think probably once my dad told me, oh, you could be president of the United States, right? Just once.
Mm.
And it wasn't even like a like confidence real booster. It was just like very like, oh yeah, you could be president of the United States. As he watched like baseball, I'm just like, what? like it was just random. It wasn't even like a real dialogue or anything like that. So my inner child, I was struggling a lot. And I was struggling in the sense of I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know what love was, right? But I did know what a man was supposed to do, right? They made sure at a young age, don't show your emotions, can't be weak, can't be vulnerable. You got to be strong. And then when you get married, or if you ever have kids, you have to provide all this stuff for your family and your household. And I was just like, okay, but I don't even know what I want. I don't even know who I am. So these questions I couldn't have with any of the males because they didn't really know who they was.
Yeah.
So it was just like, okay, I had to process that. Um, so I struggled. And then what really helped me come to peace with my inner child, I'm in my office now and I have a picture of myself. I'm like 2 or 3 years old.
Mhm.
And I talk to that picture every day. Tell that picture, hey, I love you. You're smart. You're going to change the world. And then not only did that help, like talking to it, but then also writing. I had to write a letter to that inner child of forgiveness. Hey, I'm sorry that you experienced that. You was a kid, and I held on to that letter. I don't know, probably like a year, maybe a year and some change. And I just held on to it to acknowledge my feelings, to understand my feelings. After I did that, I tore that letter up. Gotta get rid of it. Now this inner child is gonna write to the future Herbie. Let's write that letter out. And it helped me out in so many ways because the acceptance of the inner child saying, hey man, thank you for being there. Because during this time, no doubt was really there for you in the way that you need me. And the way I'm gonna thank you, I'm gonna talk about the things that you're gonna achieve. And I read that letter to one, not only hold myself accountable, but also to show the power that that inner child does have. Right. And that gave me the confidence to say, okay, let's change the world. And how do we change the world? Let's shake it up. We're going to talk about mental health, men's mental health. Not only are we going to talk about mental health and whatnot, express yourself the way that you really want to express yourself, right? As far as my appearance.
Mhm.
Where I'm from, everybody either got a Yankee hat on, some Timbs, some J's, and a white tee or whatnot. And I was like, yo, that's cool. It's all good, but I love the African prince. Like that's just who I am. Um, Let me really embrace that, right? And I'm willing to break one barrier of that generational curse, which was something that I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
And I know the pressure that applied to that. Now that I go into this realm in this world, being a black man who's talking about mental health and articulating the way I do, and I make sure I nail every point because I know the pressure that holds. They waiting for me to sit there and start cursing up a storm or dropping the N-word or anything like that. And it's just like not all black people are like that. Let me break that stigma. Let me express myself how I really feel by wearing these wraps, these African Prince wraps, and wearing these clothes and whatnot. But I'm also going to talk about these conversations when it comes to mental health. Because unfortunately, guys die by suicide 4 times higher than women. Why are we not talking about this? Let's do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like that inner child helped me become the man that I am today. And I thank that inner child for writing that letter.
Man, that just got me grinning. Huh? It's wonderful to hear. Honestly, it's really, really wonderful to hear. And I hope it gives someone also the courage to do the same or take a similar approach. You got to appreciate that, similar to the letter you wrote to your younger self, you don't have to keep all of this stuff and always revisit it and end up ruminating just in case. But there is some power in just processing it and going through it. Like, say, there's a different kind of parent you become by processing some of what you experienced with your parents, good and maybe not so good. It just makes you aware. We can remember how often we were told that we're loved, especially those of us of a particular generation right now. It's a recurring theme, like, nah, I never got told that. It's not good or bad. It is what it is. And it makes us aware that our children are mindful of it. So we perhaps now put an emphasis on making sure that we say we love them. We show by spending the time that we wish we'd had when we were younger, because you can be amazing at a sport, but if your parents aren't there to watch you, there's always going to be something missing. And probably secretly that inner child's always going to want them to show up and say, well done, you know. Whatever else we say, we don't often want too much, just a little acceptance and love, really. That's
Yes.
so hard to ask for, you know, is that
You
so
nailed
much?
it. You nailed it. You nailed it. No, for real, you did.
Oh
Yeah.
man. And you mentioned boundaries earlier on, especially when it came to transitioning away from liquor having a lot of control over your life. And I think boundaries are so important. And I personally as well have struggled sometimes with establishing them with people, because I love to help people. I love to know that everyone's doing all right, and if there's anything I can do. And there's a struggle sometimes with setting boundaries with people, if you're a people person type thing, and with family, because sometimes we feel like family is an all access, you know, they have carte blanche on our lives, and the truth is they don't, especially when you're starting your own individual family. But boundaries are a healthy thing, and if you have trouble setting them, again, think about why, because no one's going to love you any less if you have some boundaries. They should only love you more, because that'll be more of who you are. You know, the boundaries are helping you become more of who you are. And yes, we can all change the world by beginning with changing ourselves. It's a fantastic message, which I just, man, it got me.
I got you, man. I got you,
I
man.
mean, we're definitely gonna have to do another conversation at some point, because there's a lot we could cover. And I'm just so curious as well, like with everything you've gone through. I wanted to ask, okay, I'll do a cheeky one before I transition into the final quick fire questions. Because you mentioned that you read the Four Agreements in one of your past interviews, and I wanted to know which agreement or what takeaway meant the most to you, because I was gifted that book when I was leaving college and about to go to university by someone, and it just changed a lot of my perception of myself at the time. And I reread it like 2 years ago. I was like, whoa, they really knew what they were doing when they gave me the book. I missed a lot of this. I'm probably going to read it again now that we've spoken. But I just wanted to know, what was either the agreement that really struck you, or just the overall takeaway that you had from that book, because yeah, it seemed quite impactful for you.
Yeah. Honestly, the whole book really did. The way that it simplified everything. You know, as humans, we make life complicated, you know, with emotions and feelings and whatnot. And for me, one of the things that really stood out was controlling your emotions, right? Like, you know, for for example, it was, say someone cut you off,
Yeah.
and you know, you might be mad, or they might just like give you the finger or whatever. You can sit there and take it personal, or you can just let it go. And that one really stood out to me. Like, man, why am I holding on to this? Man, screw that dude. Like, whatever. My life is good. I'm gonna turn up the music and jam out. So that, because I let a lot of people, emotions, feelings control my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it taught me the power of just letting go. Like, why are you holding on to that? Just let it go. And then also, one of the things that really resonate with me is pretty much holding yourself accountable, and as far as like control what you can control. That, I was just like, man, I never looked at life like that, because no one taught me that. The power of letting go and controlling what you can control. Essentially, I can't control I can't control what you're gonna wear. Right? I can't control the weather, but I know I can control how I'm gonna dress and how I'm gonna prepare myself. Oh, it's gonna rain today? Cool, let me bring an umbrella. I can control that. This work still got to get done. You know what I mean? So it's like stuff like that really resonated with me. And then just how simple it was. It's just like, man, it was just 4 steps. And it helped me, one, want to dive more into reading, right? It was just like, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. None of my homeboys was reading. We was talking about sports. So, you know, music and sports, or, you know, judge me if you want, whatever top model look banging. Okay, that's the only thing we was talking about. So it was like, as far as books and stuff, it challenged me in the sense of, let me dive more into books, not only just for self-help, but just as knowledge, because as we know, knowledge is power, and you can read it and articulate things in your own perspective. But not only that, you can also help someone out. Like somebody helped you out by just, hey, check this out. Sound like you need this right now. And once you read it, you're like, oh man, thank you. It took me 2 years to read it because I didn't take it serious, but thank you,
Yeah.
So it's like stuff like that. Yeah, it was a very simple but powerful book. One of the books that really changed my life was the Run DM, well, not Run DMC, but he's a member of Run DMC. DMC, when it came to suicide and mental health and all that, I didn't see anyone that looked like me that was talking about it. And for him, DMC was arguably one of the best like groups ever. For him to express his struggles of like, man, like he really tried to end his life by suicide. It gave me power as far as like, yeah, I could do this. If he could do this, we're from similar places. If he could do this, I could do this. Because every time I kept looking on like Instagram and Twitter and all this, the people that was talking about this stuff, they didn't look like me. They was older than me. They didn't really relate. If I start using like a rap song as a verse or whatever, you might get it. You know what I mean? If I start using something as sports reference, you might get it. For them, they wasn't doing that. And I think, as we said, like prior, before we started recording this, I just want to get my message to you plain and simple. I ain't trying to show you that I'm the world's smartest. I'm just trying to show you that you are capable of facing your fears and getting over your trauma.
Thank you for listening to Men Talk Ubuntu podcast and being a valued member of our community. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube, Instagram, and other social media now for access to our latest updates. DM us and let us know what your mental health is on a scale of 1 to 5. Take care. Drop the mic. Oh man, fantastic. And I want to add, but
Go ahead, man. I got like another 5 minutes.
I'll
I got another
I'll
5 minutes. Okay.
I'll sum. Like, I definitely need to get the link to that book, and you've done a wonderful summary there. I think you've done something that encourages people to seek further understanding about themselves, to seek resources that will get them seeing the world in a different way. And I think also resources that are worth sharing with other people, because that changes the conversation you can have, and it makes other people comfortable with sharing what they're going through. Like you say, a lot of us might be in groups where we don't feel like we can even express what's actually going on, and that's a terrible place to be. That's one of those, you're in a room full of people but you feel so alone situations. It doesn't have to be that way. It's only that way because we sort of choose to allow it to be that way. Someone has to step forward and choose to be vulnerable and say something. And guess what? If the people around you aren't able to listen or aren't really supporting it, find some other people. Life will get better. Sad but true. Go for that. Good Lord. This guy.
Told you I got
I'm just
you,
like,
I got
I'm
you.
floored. I'm digging it, bro. Okay. You keep throwing me off because you everything you say opens up a lot of different tangents and thoughts that I wasn't quite having before. So I'll stay focused. Actually, firstly, let me make sure I get these 4 questions in, because I want you fresh and not rushed when I ask you these. So let's go for these first. What's the best thing about being Black?
Oh, yeah, okay. I got it. Man, I'm about to go deep. I'm sorry.
Go, go. I got my
So
shovel.
for me, the best thing about being Black is understanding that our culture, we went through a lot as far as like, obviously slavery and whatnot, and realizing that look how far we came. It really shows me that hard doesn't mean impossible. I I I visit a slave house to understand like what we went through. Then I personally went to Ghana, my family and I went to the door of no return to really process what we went through. I got the story about being in the US. Okay, slavery, I got that. But let me see what we went through over there. And then, excuse me. And then while I'm over there, just embracing the culture and in Ghana, you see the creativity is unlike no other. And it shows you that Black is beautiful and embracing that. So it always brings me back to difficult doesn't mean impossible. If there's a will, there's a way. We can achieve greatness.
Percent. And always look also at what came before, because again, it's even more amazing when you think about it. Slavery is a blip in our people's history. There's a lot more, and a lot more to be proud of, I think, which is also more importantly, be proud of what we overcame, but also be proud of everything we've achieved as empires and cultures. It's, yeah, you should walk around. What's the Jordan Peterson thing?
Right?
Stand up
Let's
straight with your
go.
shoulders back. Hey, I'm
Yes.
Black and I'm proud. James Brown, come on now.
Yes, yes.
Great, love it. Question 2: who taught you how to shave?
YouTube.
That's the answer. That's for the future, isn't it?
YouTube.
YouTube taught me
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. My dad was like, "Hey, just go to the barber," and I was just like, we could do it ourselves." And I checked it out on YouTube a couple of times, and it's just like, "All right, YouTube ain't gonna do it itself. Let me do it myself," and just kept winging it. You know what I mean? And then I got into a rhythm. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. And what book or resource do you hope people still use 100 years from now?
4 agreements.
I
So
shouldn't have
simple.
said book. I should have said resource, huh?
Yeah. The 4 agreements. The 4 agreements. Yeah.
Nice. Hey, you put a very good case for it. Like it's a
It
life-changing
simplifies
book.
life. Yeah, it is. It is. And you look at things differently. You won't be worried about everybody else. Be worried about yourself in the sense of loving yourself.
Yeah. Love yourself. Don't take it personally. Be impeccable at your word. That's either to you or to others. Oh man, it's a big...
We about to get deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, these things stack up. Like it's 4 agreements you can have with yourself, and every day it's like you build a brick, or you put a couple of bricks, or 4 bricks, let's call it. And each day you miss one of the bricks, one of the agreements, you
Get you right
start to
back on
look
track.
like,
Yep.
man, yeah, or yeah, I know exactly what I need to do to fill the gaps here and to strengthen my life right now. So often we just need the roadmap, the blueprint. We all
Some
know
guidance.
roughly where we want to
Yeah.
go, but we don't always know the steps in between or the markers to see where we're going. And in the absence of really good resources like that, we look at TV and we look at what other people are saying, and we don't really also look at just ourselves. Like, I love that. I love people who are unplugged and they've taken the time, because you're tuned in, man.
Yeah, you have to, man. This is your life. You're responsible for it. Don't worry about what Cardi B's doing. Don't worry about what Nicki Minaj doing. You know what I mean? Don't worry about what any of these celebrities are doing. They're well established. Are you well established? Is the real question. And if not, what can you do to do it? Focus.
For real. For real. Careful which story you pick, people. Careful.
Yeah.
Final quick fire question. What do you wish more men talked about?
Their feelings and emotions. We carry a lot. Do we understand what is a man? Or we just assume because society told us this is a man. You can still be vulnerable and still be manly. Simple as that.
I was going to ask, is there a specific feeling or emotion as well, in particular?
To be honest with you, just expressing like when those times are hard, you know, let's just face it. Yeah, you're a man, but you're human. So you have those bad days and those bad experiences. Why let that all pile up in the closet and then have it all unfold? And then people think, yo, what's going on with Herbie, man? He's tripping over there. Like he's just randomly on a rant. It's just because of the years of not unpacking my feelings and learning how to be with my feelings and acknowledging them. We don't talk about that. We have women that talk about it that thrives when it comes to their emotions and feelings, right? We can acknowledge how they feel when they're having a bad day. Why can't we acknowledge when a guy have a bad day? Why does it have to be he's moody? Maybe he just doesn't know how to articulate his words.
Yeah. I mean, oh, I'm always drawn to like sadness and anger because I feel like they're some of the ones that are very visible, but often very much tucked away as if they don't exist because they ruin everything. And when people don't always know, especially for those two, how to articulate them, the behaviors that manifest are very damaging often to relationships. Say with sadness being a lot of withdrawal. I mean, everyone reacts differently. Some will do this with anger, like you withdraw and you don't want to share this because it'll ruin the person's mood and day and week. And with anger, it's just gone off and there's no reasoning with this person. It's a complete break in communication and an inability to relate with someone. I think there's a Bible verse. I can't remember which one it is. It'll come to me at some point, but it's about
as soon as we end, watch it comes.
Yeah.
It always happens. Always.
like a brother offended is harder to win over than a city, a protected city or something, and it's just that idea, like if you anger someone or if someone's angry, it's so hard to win them. You'd be better off trying to plot taking over some city than to win someone over who's not with it like that. And often most people don't know you're angry, so you have to express it because they see how you behave. And I love that thing with kids as well. Like kids hear what you say, not what you mean often, and also how you behave. They take it as it is. Yeah.
Have you? I know we're about to wrap this up. Have you ever heard of a emotion wheel or a feeling wheel?
I think I have. I've not explored it.
So it's pretty much a wheel that covers the 8 feelings that we have, right? Like it's surprise, happiness, bad, disgust, sadness, fearful, and oh my goodness, and trust, right? And so pretty much like this guy named Robert Plausch, he made this like 1980s called the feeling wheel. He said people have all these feelings, but it's not just the 8 primary feelings. It's more to it. Like you can feel happy and you can still feel like excited, right? Doesn't necessarily. So it's just when we dive into it, like I use this all the time, and not only to identify how I feel, but it also teaches my kids how to feel, right? It's like, I have one in their room, and it's something that I think we have to normalize is understanding how we feel, right? There's moments where you might feel happy, you might have some excitement at the same time, right? And it doesn't mean that like you're going to be all turned up. It could be, man, I'm excited and happy because my birthday's coming, right? I'm excited and happy because this package that I ordered from Amazon is finally coming. I'm excited and happy because I'm about to graduate. I'm the first one to make it, right? So it's so many other layers when it comes to feelings that I think as not even just men, just as people, we don't really sit down and think and process how can we do this. And I always tell people about this feeling wheel that it's a game changer, not only in the sense just for like, oh man, I know how I feel, but I can articulate this to the person I'm dating. I can articulate this to the friends. I can articulate this to my family. Like, yeah, I'm angry, but I'm angry, but I'm still happy. I'm angry that you did go behind my back, but I'm happy that you told me the truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
so many other ways that we can do this. And I think for people, we need to use it. It's beneficial. Like my kids love it, not because of they love it because of the colors. They don't know the words yet. But but like
Yeah.
for my daughter, right? She's at that young age where, her emotions is everywhere. And when she's like into her rant, how do you feel? And she kind of gets it. Okay, all the happy words are in this region. All the sad words is in this region, right? So it's something
Mm.
that I always tell people to check out. The emotion. Some people call it the emotion wheel. Some people call it the feeling wheel, and it's an amazing tool as well. It helps me understand how I feel, and it helps me communicate with my loved ones as well.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I will definitely make sure we post it in the coming weeks now. I feel like you're giving us so many resources. I'm going to have to start making sure we get posts out, just sharing some
I
of
got
these
you, man. I got you.
extra.
I'm actually prior later on today, I'm gonna actually do a reel about the feeling wheel. Something simple,
Amazing.
man. Yeah, I got you, bro. So once this comes out or when it's out,
We'll
I'll
link
tag it
it.
along too.
Perfect. Perfect. That's it's just this is sensational. I love this conversation, man. It can never be too deep, and it's very informative. There's a lot of value that I've taken. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening will have the same feelings for sure. With that said, Hervey, if anyone isn't excited when they wake up tomorrow, all I want them to do is get excited about checking out the Just Believe podcast or following Hervey's channel, Instagram. But can you let the people know where best they can connect with you and maybe support anything that you're getting up to?
I appreciate it. So the website is herbiemack.com. My social media, Herbie Mack, everywhere. And that's HerbiemAck. Something simple, easy to find me. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even though Facebook seemed like a dying thing, but I'm still on there. YouTube. Yeah, and the podcast. The podcast is everywhere. It's called the Just Believe Podcast, where I take it upon myself to break down some of the things when it comes to mental health, as far as like what is mental health in the Black community, and not only break things down, but also provide resources for people, because everybody heals differently. So not everyone's comfortable going to a therapist or need therapy, to be honest with you. So I provide other routes as far as yoga. I interview people who are specialists in this field as far as like yoga, um, uh, personal trainers as far as working out and the benefits of that. And the next one I'm really trying to get is a nutritionist to
Mhm.
really, show that, whatever you eat does affect your mental. So it's stuff like that I took it upon myself to not only help others and show others ways, but also to help myself to educate myself as well. When we talk about mental health, it's so different for everyone. It's very different in the sense of, you know, everyone is different. So I want to acknowledge and help others. I want everybody to live their best life, or I'm sorry, live their blessed life. How about that?
Live your blessed life, and that's a big transition for me to say that I think you, Herbie, are actually a big blessing. Everything that you're doing, I just basically want to take a moment to just appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing everything you have done openly and honestly, and some of these struggles and the challenges. I send my, still condolences for losing your sister at such an early age and all this, because I know, like you said, with the younger child, all these things still stick with us and we still kind of move with them in through our lives. I am grateful that you have the patience that you do with all the resources that you've come to explore and package in a way that you hope people will connect with. And I'm grateful that you've taken it upon yourself to share some of these with a lot of other people to try and help them go through what you've been through, but maybe not have to, experience it in the same way, and to normalize the conversation around mental health, and to give Black men all these other alternative views that we can have, that when we're going through certain things, it doesn't mean that we're any less of a man. It just means that we're normal and we're human. And I thank you for that. And I just,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love having dudes on here that are also like a great example of being a dad. They're there, they're reading to their kids. It's beautiful, bro.
Yeah, we definitely have to normalize that. I'm not even gonna lie, man. People, when they see me with my kids, oh man, it's good to see you guys. I'm like, Black fathers do exist. You guys know that.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, all right.
Don't let the media fool you, man.
Yeah, don't let the media fool you. Okay, this is not Fresh Prince or anything like that. Like it's real. Like we do have fathers that exist. So no, I appreciate it, man. Before we go, I just wanted to ask you, because you asked me, how do you feel today on a scale of 1 to 10? How's your mental?
Today, right now, I'm an 8-2. I had a friend come over. Before that, I was probably like a 6-ish. But after he came over, we were just catching up, boosted me right up, and just a reminder of someone who accepts me as I am, just wants me to be doing well and happy for me, and vice versa. I want the same for him. So that was real nice. So I'm a good 8.
Good. See the power of support, man.
For real. The right people get you to the right place, for sure. You could do anything, whatever it is, as long as the right people accept you, I feel, because nothing else matters.
Preach.
Preach. All right, we're gonna end it there. Thank you for listening and staying to the end. Connect with Herbie, keep in touch with us, stay part of the conversation and the community, and do take care of yourself and your loved ones. Until next time, bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed creating.
Don't forget to follow, like, share, and connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our latest episode and listen to any you missed. And tune in next episode.
Take care.